John Taran had never imagined that a single morning could change his life completely. He sat alone in his small office aboard the Orion Research Station, a remote human outpost hovering near the edge of known space. Outside the reinforced glass windows, the stars stretched endlessly, shining cold and indifferent. John sighed and rubbed his eyes. Years of data, reports, and experiments had piled up, and he felt buried beneath them. He only wanted a little help, someone organized, competent, and quiet to assist him. Not someone who would complicate things. Not someone who would call attention to him. Just a simple assistant. That was all. He tapped a few commands on his terminal, requesting a new assistant program. The II systems aboard the station usually produced humanoid synthetic assistants efficient, predictable, and polite. He leaned back, expecting a quiet digital companion to arrive. One that would do his work without comment. Without personality. But life, as John was beginning to understand, rarely followed expectations. A soft hum shook the floor beneath his chair. The station's sensors had detected a small vessel approaching. Strange, no incoming traffic had been scheduled. Curious, John moved to the observation deck. Through the glass, he saw a ship unlike any human design. Its shape was fluid, organic, almost alive, with curves that seemed to ripple under the glow of nearby stars. It descended gracefully, no sound but a faint pulse that seemed to resonate through his chest. John blinked. This was no synthetic assistant, no human recruit. He felt a strange mix of awe and unease. The hatch opened, and out stepped a figure. At first glance, it appeared human, a tall, elegant woman, but her skin shimmered in colors he could not name. Iridescent blues and violets moved across her arms and face like liquid starlight. Her eyes glowed faintly, bright and sharp, carrying an intelligence and confidence that seemed to pierce his very mind. Before John could say a word, she knelt, touching one hand to the deck in a gesture both formal and reverent. "I am Lyra," she said, her voice smooth like flowing water, yet firm. "And I have chosen you as my mate." John froze, a strangled laugh catching in his throat. "Mate?" His voice sounded small, uncertain. I don't understand. I just wanted an assistant." She lifted her glowing eyes to him, unwavering. "I know your need. I know your purpose. I am here to bond with you, to serve, protect, and connect. You are the one my species recognizes." John stumbled backward, nearly tripping over a crate. His mind raced. "This is impossible. I'm not ready for this. I didn't sign up for this." He felt the stars outside press in, their cold silence echoing the panic rising in him. The station's communication channels buzzed as staff noticed the arrival. Curious whispers, anxious murmurs, and rapid scanning of security feeds painted him as either the luckiest man alive or the most foolish. John looked at Lyra, her expression serene, her glowing eyes fixed on him as though she could see his very thoughts. She took a step forward, graceful and unhesitant. "Do not fear what you do not understand. The bond is natural. It will grow stronger with time. I am not here to harm you. I am here to choose you." John swallowed hard, struggling to comprehend. Choose me? Why me? He had spent his life quietly, meticulously, believing he was ordinary. Now in one instant, he felt as if he had been seen in a way no human ever had before acknowledged, recognized, and irrevocably linked to something far greater than himself. "Your presence," Lyra said softly, almost as if she had read his thoughts, "is required. My species cannot function without this connection. You do not need to understand yet. Only accept it." John felt a shiver run through him. Her words carried weight, not just authority, but a strange warmth that made his chest tighten. His logical mind screamed resistance, but some deeper part of him, the part that had always longed for connection, for recognition, quivered with a strange longing. He opened his mouth to protest again, but the words stuck. For the first time in years, John felt completely unprepared, completely human, and yet drawn to something far beyond human understanding. Outside, the stars seemed to pulse in rhythm with the strange new life standing before him. John realized with a mixture of fear and wonder that he had not received an assistant. He had received a choice he never knew he wanted, and an alien woman had just declared that he was her mate. And for the first time, John felt that everything in his quiet, ordinary life had led to this impossible moment. The days that followed Lyra's arrival were unlike anything John had ever experienced. At first, he tried to ignore her presence, to treat her as nothing more than an overqualified assistant. She moved quietly through the station, helping where needed, her hands glowing faintly as she recalibrated equipment or organized his ever-growing piles of data. But ignoring her was impossible. Her bond was more than physical. It was mental, subtle but persistent. When he reached for a terminal, he felt her presence there, not touching but somehow guiding him. When he hesitated over calculations, a calm certainty whispered in his mind. John tried to dismiss it as intuition, but intuition did not glow or hum in harmony with his heartbeat. The other staff watched warily. Some whispered that she was a miracle, a being far beyond human comprehension. Others muttered about the danger of such a powerful alien presence, warning John to be careful. Yet Lyra never forced herself into situations uninvited. She followed his cues, mirrored his movements. Waited, but always remained near, like a shadow that comforted and unnerved at once. One evening, after another long day of organizing reports and rerunning experiments, John found himself on the observation deck. He leaned against the cool glass, staring at the vast emptiness outside. He wanted normality. He wanted predictability. But his mind was restless, haunted by the weight of her words, by the pull he could not deny. Lyra appeared silently, as if drawn to him by instinct rather than invitation. "You struggle," she said softly. Her voice was low, melodic, carrying an intimacy that made John flinch. "I do," he admitted, not turning to face her. "I wanted just an assistant. Not this. Not you." She stepped closer, her glow dimming slightly, her eyes reflecting starlight. "I am aware of your discomfort. I did not come to impose. But my bond with you, it exists regardless of your understanding. You feel it, don't you?" John's jaw tightened. He did feel it, the warmth in his chest, the sudden clarity in moments of doubt, the awareness that he was not alone, even when he was. "I don't know how to handle this," he said honestly. "I'm not ready for this kind of connection. I don't know if I can accept it." Lyra's hand hovered near his shoulder but did not touch. "This bond is not about forcing choice. It is about growth, trust, and understanding. You may resist, but you cannot escape what is already part of you. You are part of me, as I am part of you." John felt a shiver run down his spine. It was both terrifying and comforting. He had spent decades mastering machines, equations, and systems, but he had never been prepared to navigate this. This was not science. This was life itself, raw and unpredictable, demanding surrender in a way no experiment ever had. He walked a few steps, then stopped, finally turning to her. "I don't understand why. Why me? There are thousands of humans. I'm just ordinary." Her smile was gentle, luminous. "It is your mind, your choices, your courage to continue despite fear. Those are what drew me. You are not ordinary to me, John. You are extraordinary." He looked away, blinking back an unexpected surge of emotion. For the first time, he realized the depth of what she offered. This was not simply help or companionship. This was acknowledgement, recognition, and something far more profound: acceptance. Yet fear lingered. Fear of attachment, of responsibility, of being tied to something he did not fully understand. John knew one thing for certain: life aboard Orion would never be the same. Lyra was not just present. She was part of him now. And whether he wanted it or not, she had already changed the way he saw himself, the station, and the lonely expanse of space outside. That night, as he lay in his small quarters, he felt her presence beside him, even without touching. Her warmth was like a soft pulse in his chest, steady and patient, waiting. John stared at the ceiling, unsure whether to fear it or embrace it. Slowly, he realized something he could not ignore. He wanted her there. He wanted her guidance, her strength, her bond. Even if he did not understand it yet, even if he was not ready, John Taran knew that his ordinary life was gone. And perhaps for the first time, he wondered if ordinary had ever truly been enough. The calm of Orion Station shattered one morning with the shrill wail of alarms. Red lights bathed the corridors, and the automated voice of the station repeated a single warning: unauthorized vessel approaching. Threat detected. John's stomach dropped. He had been on the station for years, and he knew the kind of danger lurking in uncharted space. But he had never faced it up close. He rushed to the observation deck and saw them, a small fleet of scavenger ships, armed with old, stolen weaponry, moving toward the station with deliberate intent. Humans scattered, some running to defensive posts, others to safety. Panic rippled through the crew. John froze, fear gripping him. He was an engineer, not a soldier. He had no training in combat or strategy. Then he felt her presence beside him, Lyra, calm as ever, her glowing eyes sweeping across the approaching ships. She did not panic. She did not hesitate. Her hands moved as if tracing the air itself, a soft whoo. John's chest tightened. He had never heard words so affirming, so honest. And yet, they carried weight. She didn't just admire him. She believed in him. The bond he had tried to resist was no longer just alien or frightening, it was inspiring. He leaned back in his chair, exhaustion mixing with wonder. I never thought I would feel this, not for anyone. Not for anything. But being near you. It's different. It's not just guidance or protection. It feels real. Lyra's glow softened, almost imperceptibly pulsing in time with his heartbeat. It is real, John. Not just the bond, but the trust, the connection. You do not need to fear it. You only need to accept it one step at a time. John nodded slowly, the weight of his fears beginning to lift. For the first time, he realized that strength wasn't just about calculations, survival, or perfection. Strength was also about allowing oneself to be vulnerable, to rely on someone else, and to trust that they would not betray that faith. He glanced at her, and a quiet smile appeared on his face. I'm beginning to understand. Not everything in life can be controlled. Not everything can be predicted. Maybe that's okay. Lyra stepped closer and placed her hand gently on his shoulder. Her warmth was soft but undeniable, like sunlight in the cold emptiness of space. It is more than okay, John. It is human. And it is extraordinary. For a long moment, they stood together, silent but connected. The station hummed softly around them, the distant stars blinking like witnesses to something profound. John realized that he had survived battles outside, but the true test was here, within the test of trust, acceptance, and human courage. And in that quiet, ordinary moment, something extraordinary bloomed. He had wanted an assistant. Instead, he had found something far greater, a partner who believed in him. A bond that could change not only his life, but the meaning of being human in a vast, endless universe. The peace aboard Orion Station was shattered once more. Sensors screamed warnings of an approaching fleet larger, more dangerous than the scavenger vessels they had faced before. This time, there was no room for hesitation. The station's automated defenses had limited capacity, and human crews scrambled to arm themselves. Panic rippled through the corridors as John realized the stakes were higher than ever. He felt Lyra's presence immediately, stronger, more insistent. She glided to his side, her eyes glowing with an intensity that made the hairs on his neck stand on end. "John," she said, voice calm but commanding, "this is the moment. You must choose to act, to trust, to embrace what you are capable of." John swallowed hard. He was just an engineer, not a soldier. He had survived before, but this was different. Lives depended on him now, not just his own. His chest tightened as fear clutched at him, but he felt her hand lightly brush his arm. It was not commanding. It was steadying, encouraging. "They're coming faster," Lyra warned, her glow pulsing in rhythm with the warning lights. "We have only moments." John's mind raced, thinking of calculations, power reroutes, and tactical strategies. Lyra moved fluidly among the stations, recalibrating shields, diverting energy, and preparing weapon systems. He wanted to step back, to let her handle it all. But deep inside, he knew he couldn't. Not this time. He squared his shoulders, gripping the console as the first wave of hostile fire struck the station's outer hull. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and the station shuddered. Panic surged through the crew, but John felt something else, a strange calm, a focus that cut through the fear. Lyra's presence anchored him. Her confidence became his. "Follow me," she said. "Trust yourself. Trust me." Together, they worked seamlessly. John rerouted power, guided defensive turrets, and coordinated the crew's movements. Lyra anticipated every attack, neutralizing threats with uncanny precision. Yet she always returned to him, keeping him safe, bolstering his confidence. He realized in awe that this bond was not just alien, it was a partnership, a connection that allowed humans and something far beyond human to function as one. The battle was intense. The hull shuddered under repeated strikes, and fire alarms blared. But John kept moving, calculating, and trusting Lyra's guidance. Every moment of doubt dissolved under the weight of purpose and connection. He felt his humanity shining through, not in raw strength, not in armor or weaponry, but in courage, ingenuity, and the willingness to protect those who could not protect themselves. Finally, after what seemed like hours compressed into minutes, the attackers retreated. The silence that followed was heavy but alive with relief. John sank to the floor, breathless, adrenaline coursing through him. He looked at Lyra, whose glow had softened to a gentle shimmer. You helped me," he said quietly, awe in his voice. "Not just with the station. With me. You made me see I could do it." Lyra knelt beside him, her luminous eyes steady and sincere. "You made yourself capable. I only guided you. That is the nature of the bond. Courage, trust, and choice, they exist in you, John. You have proven it." For the first time, John felt the full weight of what the bond meant. It was not just protection, not just companionship, it was recognition. He had been ordinary in his own eyes, but Lyra had seen something extraordinary in him all along. And in that recognition, he felt a surge of emotion he had never allowed himself to feel: pride, trust, and the first flicker of love. He looked out at the stars, distant and unfeeling, and realized that even in the infinite vastness of space, he was not alone. He had someone who had chosen him, believed in him, and would stand beside him against anything. John took a deep breath and whispered, almost to himself, "I understand now. I choose to trust, to fight, to accept." Lyra's smile was radiant, a beacon of calm and warmth. "Then we face the universe together," she said, and in that moment, amidst shattered alarms and the distant glow of the stars, John Turin understood something profound. Humanity was not about being strongest or smartest, it was about courage, choice, and the bonds that made it possible to rise above the impossible. The battle was over, but the aftermath left Orion Station scarred. Smoke curled from damaged corridors, and sparks flickered from consoles still struggling to recover. Yet amidst the chaos, there was a sense of calm, a quiet strength that resonated through the station. John Turin walked slowly down the main corridor, feeling the weight of exhaustion in every step. Lyra appeared beside him, moving effortlessly despite the debris scattered around them. Her glow was soft, warm, reassuring, like sunlight filtering through clouds. For months, she had been his guide, his protector, and now more than ever, his partner. Every challenge they had faced together had shaped him, teaching him courage, patience, and trust in ways he had never known. John paused at the observation deck, staring out at the stars. The fleet that had attacked was gone, leaving only the cold, indifferent void. Yet he no longer felt small or alone. He realized that humanity was not just a fragile species in a vast universe. It was resourceful, brave, and capable of inspiring loyalty and admiration, even from beings far beyond their understanding. Lyra stepped closer, her hand brushing against his lightly. "You have grown, John," she said softly. "You faced fear, doubt, and uncertainty. You acted, you chose, and you protected. That is what I see in you. That is what makes you extraordinary." John's chest tightened. I never imagined I could be more than ordinary," he admitted. "And yet, with you, I feel like I can do anything. Not because I am stronger, but because I am not alone." She smiled, a radiance that seemed to fill the room. "You are never alone. That is the bond. That is what we have built together. You have the heart of a human, John, courageous, clever, and compassionate. That is why I chose you. That is why I am here." The words settled in him, deep and undeniable. For the first time since her arrival, John felt whole. Not just capable, not just brave, but truly connected to something beyond himself. He realized that life had given him far more than he had asked for. He had wanted an assistant. Instead, he had gained a bond that transcended species, expectations, and fear. As they looked out at the infinite stars, a quiet hum ran through the station, signaling recovery systems coming back online. The human crew had begun repairing damaged sections, inspired by what they had witnessed. They had seen courage, brilliance, and unity in the face of overwhelming odds. And they had learned, quietly and profoundly, that humanity's true strength was not just in technology or strategy, it was in heart, in will, and in the ability to connect across impossible boundaries. John turned to Lyra, his expression resolute. "Whatever comes next," he said, his voice steady, "we face it together. Not just as human and alien, but as partners, as allies, as something stronger than either of us alone." Lyra's eyes glowed brighter, a gentle pulse of light that reflected trust and pride. "Yes, John, together, always." For a long moment, they stood side by side, watching the stars. The universe was vast and unknown, full of challenges and dangers beyond imagining. Yet neither of them felt fear. Not when they had each other. Not when they had faced the impossible and survived. Not when they had built something extraordinary from what began as an ordinary request. John took a deep breath and allowed himself to smile, the first genuine, unburdened smile in years. He had come to Orion Station seeking assistance, and he had found something far greater: courage, partnership, and a bond that proved humanity could inspire loyalty, respect, and even love in the most unexpected. And filling the deck. The sensors on the station registered anomalies, fields of energy forming shields, countermeasures lining up automatically. Lyra had begun her work before John could even think. "John," she said, her voice steady yet commanding, "stay close. Follow my lead." He nodded, barely breathing. The first volley of energy blasts struck the station's outer hull. Sparks flew, alarms screamed louder, and the hum of failing machinery made his heart race. But Lyra moved like water, a blur of motion and light. She redirected power through the station's defense systems, neutralized incoming fire, and protected the crew with a precision that made every human soldier seem clumsy in comparison. John watched, half in awe, half in terror. She was protecting him, not just the station, not just the humans, but him. Time and again, she positioned herself between him and danger, a living shield, her energy field shimmering like starlight around them both. Every instinct in John told him to panic, to flee, but he stayed, rooted to the spot. Realizing something profound, she trusted him, relied on him to make decisions alongside her. During a brief lull, he managed to grab a terminal and begin rerouting power to damaged systems. Lyra hovered beside him, guiding his hand subtly. "Focus here," she instructed. "The outer generator is unstable. If it fails, the entire station could be lost." Her presence was calming, almost like a heartbeat he could follow. With her guidance, John stabilized the system. The sense of achievement was overwhelming. The attackers finally retreated, leaving trails of wreckage floating in the void. The station's crew breathed heavily, the tension breaking slowly. John sank to the floor, exhausted, adrenaline still pounding in his veins. Lyra knelt beside him, her glowing eyes meeting his. "You see now," she said softly, "why the bond exists. Protection is not just physical. It is trust, coordination, understanding. Connection." John swallowed hard, trying to find words. "You risked yourself. For me, why?" Her gaze softened, and the light of the stars reflected in her iridescent skin. "Because I chose you. The bond is mutual. You are not just my companion. You are my partner. To protect is to honor the connection. To honor the connection is to respect you." John felt a wave of emotions he could not name. Pride, fear, gratitude, all they swirled inside him like the nebulae beyond the observation deck. He had survived the first real test of his life aboard Orion, but more than that. He had felt something he had never known. Someone saw him, truly, completely, and had declared that he mattered. That night, John could not sleep. He sat in the quiet observation deck, staring out at the scattered remains of the attackers floating in space. Lyra stood silently behind him, her glow soft, comforting, patient. He finally spoke, his voice low. "I don't know how to thank you, or repay you, or even understand this." She placed her hand lightly on his shoulder. "You do not need to repay anything. Our connection exists beyond gratitude. It is not a transaction. It is recognition of your courage, your mind, your humanity." John closed his eyes, letting the weight of her words settle. For the first time, he understood that her presence was more than a mystery, more than a burden. It was a gift, unasked, unexpected, and powerful beyond measure. And in the quiet hum of the Orion station, a human and an alien stood together, bound by choice and circumstance, realizing that even in the vast emptiness of space, the smallest connection could be the strongest force in the universe. Days passed after the first attack, but the tension aboard Orion station did not fade. John found himself in a strange limbo. Lyra's presence was everywhere, quietly observing, assisting, and anticipating his every move. She did not speak without purpose, did not act without reason, but simply being near her was exhausting. Her energy pulsed subtly in the station systems, her glow a constant reminder of her bond with him. John wanted normalcy. He wanted to regain control over his life. But he realized that normalcy was gone. He had not asked for a mate. He had not asked for her. And yet, there she was, an unyielding presence that refused to leave him alone. One evening, frustration boiled over. John slammed the terminal shut, leaning heavily on the console. "I didn't ask for this," he shouted, startling the few crew members who were still working. "I asked for an assistant, not a partner I didn't understand." Lyra's glow dimmed slightly, a subtle flicker of emotion crossing her face. She stepped closer, but her voice remained calm. I know this is difficult for you. You fear the bond, and you question it. But denying it will not erase what already exists. You feel it, John. You cannot pretend otherwise. John ran a hand through his hair, pacing the small room. I can't think straight when you're here all the time. It's too much. I need space. I need... Normal. Lyra's expression softened, her iridescent skin shimmering with quiet understanding. I can give you space, she said gently. But understand this, our connection is not an interruption. It is part of the fabric of your life now. You cannot separate it. You cannot remove me. Her words, meant to comfort, felt like chains. John shook his head, his chest tight with conflicting emotions. I admire you. I respect you. But I'm human. I'm ordinary. You're extraordinary. I can't match you. Lyra's gaze was unwavering, her glowing eyes filled with quiet intensity. It is not a matter of matching. It is a matter of acceptance. You underestimate your own strength, John. You do not see how your choices, your courage, your humanity. Call to me. I chose you because I saw it, even when you did not. John faltered. He wanted to argue, to maintain control over the chaos he felt inside. But her words, precise and honest, struck deeper than logic. He realized he had been denying something fundamental, that he craved this bond as much as he feared it. I don't know if I can accept this, he admitted, voice low, almost a whisper. It's too much. I don't understand it. I don't know what it means for me. Or for anyone else here. Lyra stepped closer, placing a hand lightly on his arm. The glow of her skin was soft, reassuring, like starlight warming a cold metal deck. Acceptance does not require full understanding. It requires courage. Courage to feel, to trust, to grow. You are stronger than you realize, John. Your humanity is your greatest strength. For a long moment, silence stretched between them. John felt the weight of the station, the stars, and Lyra's presence pressing gently but insistently against him. He realized something profound. She was not just an alien being intruding into his life. She was a mirror, reflecting everything he had ignored about himself, his strengths, his fears, and his potential. Finally, he sank onto a chair, head in his hands, his mind racing. I'm not ready, he whispered, but maybe I don't have to be ready all at once. Lyra's smile returned, radiant but calm. That is all I ask. One step at a time. We will navigate this together. John looked up at her, seeing not just the alien beauty, but the quiet patience, the loyalty, the understanding. For the first time since her arrival, he did not feel overwhelmed by her presence. Instead, he felt challenged. Challenged to rise, to grow, and perhaps to embrace the impossible. And as the stars outside shimmered against the dark void, John realized something remarkable. His ordinary life was gone. But in its place was something far greater, a bond that could teach him what it truly meant to be human, and what it truly meant to be alive. The station was quieter than usual that evening. Most of the crew had gone to their quarters, still shaken from the earlier skirmish with rogue scavenger ships. John sat alone at his console, staring at a tangle of data that refused to make sense. Every equation, every chart, seemed insignificant compared to the storm of thoughts in his mind. He had survived danger. He had faced fear. Yet a different kind of struggle weighed heavier, the one that lived inside him. Lyra appeared quietly, as always, moving with the grace of someone who was never bound by human limitations. Her glow was soft, almost like a lantern in the dark room. She did not speak immediately. Instead, she watched him work, her eyes reflecting curiosity and patience. John frowned, rubbing his temples. I don't know why I'm so distracted. I should be focusing. I should be calm, but... His voice trailed off. He didn't know how to explain the mix of awe, fear, and strange warmth that he felt whenever she was near. Lyra stepped closer. But instead of taking over the console or showing him the correct calculations, she simply guided his hands. Her touch was light, almost imperceptible, but he felt it clearly, like an invisible current flowing through him. You have ingenuity, John, she said softly. I could correct this instantly, make the numbers align perfectly. But this is your victory, not mine. You need to solve it. He looked at her, startled. He had expected her to intervene, to complete the work herself. But she was giving him something else: trust, recognition, space to be human, even when the universe demanded perfection. He swallowed hard and nodded, letting her guidance flow through him. Slowly, painfully, he began to see patterns he had missed before. The numbers aligned, the anomalies made sense, and for the first time in hours, he smiled not out of triumph but out of connection. You didn't just fix it for me," he said quietly, his voice catching. "You trusted me to do it myself." Lyra's smile was gentle, luminous. "Because you are capable. I only exist to amplify what is already within you. Humans often underestimate themselves. But you see more than you realize. That is why I chose you.